Hello students, welcome to CMS online classes, and this video is for class 8 chapter number 16, and the name of the chapter is light. So in this chapter we will talk about light, reflection, refraction, as well as structure of human eye, because it's very important to know about how images are formed in our eyes. So let's start with the basic things. First of all, luminous object and non-luminous object. What do you mean by that? So objects that emit light on their own are called luminous objects. Example, we have sun, star, light bulbs or torch lights. Okay, then we have a few other insects also are called, they are example of luminous objects and they emit the light. Objects that do not reflect light are known as non-luminous objects. That means they don't reflect light. Examples are wood, plastic, metals, etc. So first of all, where does light comes from? We have a question here. That means source of light. So our major source of light, the basic source of light is, an important source of light is the sun. We get heat and light from the sun, and by that only other organism, both plants and animals, depend on it. So sorting light sources. Sorting means separating. Okay. So separation means on what basis? On the basis of natural and man-made. So we have various light sources which are natural. That means we can say star, sun, even during lightning also some sort of light is produced. We have a few insects like glowworms. Then man-made or artificial source of light, that is of the candle light, the lamp or the tube lights or the bulbs that we have at our homes, even torch lights, even fire and television. Okay, they produce light due to some electric currents. Now okay, so we are differentiating here. Now we will talk about, are these light sources? That means the moon. Are the moon a source of light? No, moon is not a source of light. Similarly, we will take a second example, like in water. Water also, sometimes if we see water in the dusk and dawn, that means during sunrise and sunset, we will see some forms of light there also, but these are also not a source of light. Then we have the mirrors. Okay, so mirror also reflect some light, they don't have any source. That means these all things, they are not a source of light, instead they are reflecting light from other major sources. As for example, in case of moon, it reflects the light of the sun. Similarly in water also, it reflects the light of the sun. And mirror, it reflects the light of some artificial source like tube lights or LED bulbs or CFL bulbs. Okay, halogen bulbs you can say. So how does the moon reflects light? So we can see here, when light falls on the moon, it is reflected on the earth. Okay, and we can see moon, glowing moon. Actually it is not glowing on its own, it is just reflecting the light of the sun. But still in a dark night, in a full moon day, we can see the roads or the landscapes clearly. You don't need any torchlights at night because it is reflecting the light of the sun. Then let's talk about types of materials or medium. So we have three types of materials. Number one is transparent material. Second, translucent material, and the third one, opaque material. So these three materials are there by which an object can be seen, partly seen, or it's blocked. Okay, so we will discuss one by one here. So what do you mean by transparent material? So material that allows only all the light to pass through them are called transparent material. That means when a light falls on that material, the light passes through it. Okay, that means it completely passes through it. As for example, we have glass, water, and air. Okay, so here the light is not blocked or it is not reflected back. It pierces through the object or the material, and that type of material is known as transparent material. Then we have translucent material. So translucent material only allows a small amount of light to pass through them, due to which the object behind them cannot be seen clearly. Okay, that means the object which is away from the which is behind or at the opposite of the glass or the material. Okay, only a few part of or it's not clearly visible. As for example, you can see on the left hand side there is a clear glass which is transparent and trees can be seen, but on the beside that the trees or the branches are not seen clearly. Similarly, we have another here, only the hands are seen which is very close, and the person who is standing behind that material, it's not seen. So we can say that only a small amount of light, only if a small amount of light is passed through an object, it is considered as translucent material. For example, we have a frosted glass, old papers, tissue paper, muddy water, and even clouds. So we will take example of frosted glass. So in frosted glass, mostly it is used not to see the object clearly. Only few amount of light can pass through it. Okay, for brightness. Now let's about opaque material. What do you mean by opaque material? So those material through which we cannot see at all, means light is completely blocked, are known as opaque material or opaque medium. For example, we have a cardboard, wood, bricks, metals, books, even we are also there. As we can see on the first figure, there is a door made of a wood. Okay, so the objects behind the door, we can't see it even if light is passed through it. Another example, we have a bricks. Okay, so we can't see other side of the bricks because light cannot pass through that material. Here another, there is a ball, and behind that a building is there, but only few portion of the building is seen, rest can't be seen. Why? Because that ball acts as an opaque material and it is blocking the light. Similarly, this material also helps an object to form an shadow. Means object can be formed when an opaque material stops the light, rays of light. Okay, now let's talk about properties of light. What do you mean by properties of light? So light have various properties. First and foremost, light travels in a straight line and is a form of energy. As we know, due to light only plants prepare their own food. Then light travels in a straight line. As for example, let's have an experiment here. Okay, if you take 3 cardboards and make a hole in it, a similar hole, and on the one side just light a candle. Okay, what you will see through that holes, if you see the light flame of the candle, you can see it. But if any of the cardboard is moved, can you see the flame of the light? No, you can't see, because light don't travels in a curved path, it travels in a straight path. Second property, light travels much faster than sound. Okay, so here also we can give example, or we can have an example here. During lightning and thunder, lightning and thunder occurs at the same time during the monsoons or when there is a rainy season, because lightning mostly occurs due to the charged particles of the clouds. Okay, so when you see the lightning or when you observe lightning, what you will see? First of all, light, you will see the light, then you will hear a sound, because second property states that light travels faster than the sound. Another property is that we see things because they reflect light into our eyes. As for example, as we discussed about the moon, it reflects the light of the sun. But if it doesn't reflect the light of the sun, can we see the moon? Is it possible that we see the moon every day? No, it's not, because only when light is reflected on a material or an object we can see it. That's why at night we can't see anything, or in a dark room, when you step into a dark room, you can't see the things. Why you can't see the things? Because the light is not reflected on that object and we can't see it. Fourth, shadows are found when light is blocked by an object only. As for example, if there is a plain glass, okay, when light is reflected on that plain glass, a shadow is not found, because light easily pass through that material, and that we talked about transparent material. But when an opaque material blocks the light, what will happen? The light won't pass through the opaque material and shadow is found of that object. An object can be anything. It can be trees also, it can be of vehicles also, it can be of you also. Okay. Then the last one, visible light is only a small part of electromagnetic spectrum. That means the flow of light. That means whatever the light we see, it's not the 100% of the light, sunlight. Only a small part is seen. The other parts are invisible to human eye, but not necessarily the eyes of other animals. Other animals can see the light. So this was all about properties of light. But the most important thing is the first one. It travels in a straight line. Now let's move towards characteristics of light. Property is another thing and characteristics is another thing. So light can be reflected, bent or refracted depending upon where it falls. Okay, so when light falls on an object, either it reflects, either it bends, or either it is transmitted. Okay, as for example, in a plain glass, the light is reflected. In other material, it is reflected, and in some cases it is absorbed. As for example, in water bodies, it is absorbed. So we see things because they reflect light into our eyes, as we discussed, and we have an example of the moon. Okay, so when light rays falls on the moon, then only we can see the image of a moon. This is literally the one way we get to see things. All objects we see either create light or reflect light. Create light means the light of a bulb, the light of sun, the stars, or even a few insects like glowworms. Okay, they have their own light which we can see. That means they create light or reflect light. Reflect light means we can see in case of moon, we can see in case of water bodies, they also reflect light, and mirror also reflect light. If you put a mirror and throw rays of light on it, okay, it reflects the light. Now let's talk about reflection. What do you mean by reflection? So a reflection of light only occurs when light is incident. Okay, so in this case we have a incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal ray, and the angle formed by it. Okay, so what do you mean by incident ray? The light ray falls on any surface is called the incident ray. That means when it falls on the mirror, say for example a plain mirror or normal mirror. Okay, when light falls on that mirror, it is called an incident ray. And reflected ray, when the light reflects back, is called an reflected ray. Normal ray, the line perpendicular to the reflecting surface, is called the normal ray. And the incident form, angle of incidence, means the angle between the incident ray and the normal ray is called the angle of incidence. An angle of reflection, the angle between reflected ray and the normal ray is called the angle of reflection. Let's see with a diagram here. Okay, on the left portion we have incident ray. Then if light falls on a plane mirror, the light is reflected. That we call reflected ray. And normal ray is perpendicular to the mirror. Okay. And the angle formed by incident ray is called the angle of incidence, and the angle formed by reflected ray is called the angle of reflection. And angle of reflection is always equal to angle of incident is always equal to angle of reflection. Okay, so this was all about simple reflection. We will talk more about reflection and other related to light.